Well, hello there. My name's Ryan Ludwig, and this is my plane. It is a Skyhawk 541, and it is quite amazing. Today I'm going to be doing a pre-flight of the plane for you, and we'll basically be showing you how to pre-flight the plane. Then we'll get inside and I'll give you a show of how to actually start the plane for the first time. So let's get to it. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the wheel chocks and remove the pitot tube cover. If this stays on during flight, we're not going to get an accurate measure of airspeed, and basically the dial in there won't work. So we always want to make sure this is uncovered, and as well with our wheel chocks down here, we want to make sure these go off. These basically hold the plane down at night, so it doesn't fly away, because you don't want to wake up and find out your plane's, halfway up, upside down on the runway. That wouldn't be fun. What we want to do is we want to uncover the airman's knot. Basically tie this up at night. It keeps the wings level. We don't always do this, but if the plane is going to be out at night, you are going to need to tie this up. It's a very simple knot. And yeah, so if it's just during the day and you happen to fly a plane, let's say at like 1 o'clock and you're done at 2 o'clock, you wouldn't put them on. You'd basically wait. If you're the last person flying in the day, you'd put these on if it's not going to be in a hangar. Tie the knot so the plane doesn't fly away at night. Just an extra precaution. Usually the chocks are fine, but if it's windy out or if there's a storm heading in, you really don't want to take the chance. Next up is our wheels. We basically want to check the brake line right over here. We basically just run our hand along the bottom, run a finger along the bottom of the line. Make sure no fluid's leaking. It would be a fluid on your fingers. So you just run your hand along there. You also want to check the treads and the tires, see if they're balled out. This is a trainer plane, so a lot of times if you make hard landings enough, it'll ball the wheels, and that's dangerous during flight. You also want to make sure the strut's okay. You just check, make sure there's no cracks. This is just aesthetics, this plastic thing over it. You just want to make sure you don't see any cracks in it, because that can mean there are problems underneath. Next up, we use the gas. We check for any contaminants in the fuel. I've got this little plastic cup right here, if you can see that. It's basically just a metal rod in the middle. It releases the gas into this plastic cup. And once I do that, I just check for any little particles, any different colors. If someone accidentally puts jet fuel in it, it's a different octane. You don't want to do that. I think it's colored red. I'm not sure on that though. This is blue, so you just smell it. Make sure it doesn't smell funny. I know what the gas smells like. And then when you're done, you'd actually just drop it on the ground. We don't have a container here. If you throw it in the gas, it kills the grass. So throw it in the cement, it dries out, they wash it off. No biggie. Next, I'm going to be checking the flaps for any loose screws. To do this, you have to turn on the battery and then put down the flaps. Right now, I'm just going to check, make sure these weights are in. They're in tight, nice and snug. I'm making sure this screw, make sure it's a little bit loose, but it's not overly tightened either. I'm just going along, make sure all these screws are in. Then same thing with the back of the flap. Make sure it's nice and loose. Go along the outside, basically just making sure there's no cracks. There's a weight in here, just make sure it's in there. This is the trim tab. Basically keeps us level in flight. You're supposed to set this for takeoff and landing. It basically helps the pilot to keep it at level flight, or help it take off or help it to land. Next, I'm going to be checking the engine. Basically, I'm just going to be checking the oil, checking the prop, checking the exhaust pipe, and making sure there's no birds in the engine. We do not want any fried chicken going on. Alright, good. We're around 7 quarts. I usually make sure we have at least 5 quarts in here. This thing burns through oil much faster than a car. So you just want to make sure you check oil before every flight. I'll be testing the exhaust pipe and the strut. Basically, you just want to make sure there's a good ping. Can you hear that? That's a good ping. You want to make sure that the ping's good. Make sure there's no Basically, we're just checking for any cracks in the exhaust pipe. If there are any cracks, it could fill the cabin with smoke and potentially overheat the engine. You also make sure these tires aren't balled out. This gets the most damage because a lot of new pilots land on their front wheel when they should be landing on the back too, so it really smacks hard on the front, and that can damage the tire over time. Next, we check the amount of fuel in our plane. We do have gas gauges, but we just can't be too careful with fuel in case some of them are broken. We don't want to learn the hard way that we are out of gas. So we just unscrew the cap, and we look in, and it is around 3/4 of the way full. We also want to check the wing, make sure there's nothing you can see on the wing that would be visible, like a crack. I'm going to take you through how to start an airplane. Right. We have a handy dandy little checklist right here I'm going to read off of. It's great. It's got, your ads, it's got your advertise, it's got everything. It's got the frequencies that aren't listed on there. So now you're going to be my co-pilot, and I'm going to go through how to start an airplane. Airplanes are great. They're great vehicles. They're fun to drive, and they're got great nifty little seat belts and adjustable seats. Everything like in your car, kind of. Different thing about an airplane, you steer with your feet when you're on the ground and not with your hands. So if you do this, you are wrong. This will not turn you anywhere. This controls the air behind us, and that will turn the plane. Right. I think I have you guys facing down. Let me make sure. Yeah, you guys are facing down. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm moving my feet if you can't see. Got this handy dandy headset, blocks all the noise, all that good stuff. Got my AFD, my airport and facility directory. It's got all the comms. If I need to set this or that for different airports, I can set that, and it's required that I have that in there with me. So right now I'm gonna start this plane up, start this bad boy. Let's see. Next, I'm gonna just go through a checklist here. Make sure the brakes are on, make sure this fuel selector isn't stuck on the left or right tank. There are 2 tanks in here. Gonna mixture in. Make sure this is open 1/8 of an inch. Good. It's gonna get very hard to hear, so I'm just sort of explaining this stuff now. I'm gonna prime this 3 times to get some fuel in there. Sort of like if you own a 4-wheeler or anything like that, you're gonna prime the vehicle, push fuel into the engine, same thing, or a lawnmower. Turn the master switch on, provides power. I've got an alternative one. Master switch is on, propeller area. We make sure the prop is clear, and if it doesn't start up, if you do see, my flaps up too.
Better? Okay.